And now I invite Pia Erkinheimo from the Finnish Climate Fund here, who is, you are waiting for small companies to make big plans. Isn't that the idea, basically, with Climate Fund and APIs and digital platforms? So you can unmute yourself now. Yes.
So good morning.
Good
Are
morning.
you hearing me and seeing me, what I share?
Yes. Yes. Do you
Excellent.
hear me? Yes. Excellent. Okay. So yeah. So we had a great talk about business models, and now API ecosystems even more in your talk, and funding. And there was a comment already earlier that companies are not willing to fund API initiatives that take many years. What is your take on that? Are you going to expect a many-year commitment from those that you fund?
Well, basically...
Can you hear me properly? Is there...
Yes, I can. And can you hear me properly?
Can you hear me, Pia?
Yes, I can. Very much. And can you hear me?
Okay, there seems to be a little bit of delay. Yes. Yeah, okay. Just go ahead and start. There is a little bit of a delay, maybe. Yeah, so just start.
Okay, very good. So good morning, everyone. And when it comes to the organization or a company I work, which is the Finnish Climate Fund, we indeed work with things that take long time. So we are expecting to be part in such growth stories where the scaling is about to start, which means that we are patient financier, and we anticipate that, to make a true impact, and in this case to our planet, it will take time. So at least that is our approach when it comes to impatient patient companies who wants to get their money back soon. We hopefully, as being backed by the government of Finland, we will be then not equalizer, but the one that has patience. So that's my 2 cents about what you, Marjukka, said earlier. But hey, let me thank, first of all, of being able to be with here today with you and explain a bit, the approach, what I would have in my 20 minutes 5 cents thoughts. So connecting physical and digital is really in the core what I'd like to say now, because if we think about climate change, that is not something that's taken place in metaverse, which to me, with my earlier background in working life, has been, or metaverse or virtuality or internet economy has been kind of my bread and butter for the last 15 years or so. During the last 24 months, however, I've got myself familiar as an innovation ecosystem worker with the challenge of climate change, and also how much digitalization at large has to give to our fight against climate change. But if we continue from that, we could check just that, what is the driver? What is the driver in all this when we connect physical and digital? Carbon neutrality goals in North, as an example, looks like this. Finland is the most ambitious one in the world. We should be carbon neutral country by 2035. And this needs a huge effort of everyone. And then related to Denmark and Norway's goals, they are more in line with the EU. So this is a challenge that I'm inviting also AIP community, global community, to struggle, because we are fighting against the clock. So to prevent the average global temperature from rising from 1.5 degrees from pre-industrial levels as early as 2030s, the climate emissions should be cut by 7% every year. And there we need changes where data economy, where digitalization can be on the driver's seat for making this 7% emission cut happen every year. But the goal is huge. So we are all in with this agenda, between hopefulness and hopelessness. It depends on the day and the tabloid. But what I'd like to bring here first is the change where that starts from humans, and again, data and humans and our behavior is very much the same. So here you can see the ideas for behavior change, and let's consider this for a while. So even if we have a lot of knowledge, why a person acts against his or her better knowledge? Well, in the area of climate anxiety. And I'd like to quote here Kübler-Ross and her 5 stages of grief, because the climate change is a scientific problem caused by human behavior, and now we indeed need knowledge to solve it. So if we look at this and then put it into the context of how we can help with our data and share data via AIPs to struggle these five stages, they could be as following: the denial, it doesn't apply to us, it's not true. Well, we have a lot of data and application to show the other ways. Then if we think our individual change in our behavior, the nudging of our behaviors towards resource wives environment and working. So it could be then anger. This is disturbing me. We are in that kind of a block. Then we could be even the bargaining phase. Like that. If we don't buy meat, and the clothes are vintage, we can delay the transition to a more resource-wise commuting, or keep our gas car for a while longer. And again, data and the digital community can help us with these decisions. Then a depression, that we can all say that when we are facing the phase, that saying that it's not enough what one family can do or one person can do, because it doesn't change the needle. We can't do for the matter. And again, there is a lot to do with our digital, combining digital and physical, to nudge our behavior towards resource friendly behaviors. And perhaps then an acceptance. Okay, this happens, but what if we can control with it our own choices and regulate the amount of impact of the globe warming up? So this could potentially help us go through of our own climate anxiety. I don't know if this sounds familiar to you, but from the business potential perspective, all of the understanding in depth and impacting us and our digital reality and our physical reality, and gluing them better together, this would be then the way forward, and also indeed creating us huge business potential and possibilities. So what goes beyond saying that the next 10-15 years will be critical to halting the global warming? We are talking about a green and digital transition that requires broad public and private investments. And now is about the organization that I work for. It's called the Finnish Climate Fund, and it's a special state-owned special assignment company where we focus on combating climate change, boosting low carbon industry, and in promoting digitalization, supporting these goals. So this is what we've been doing now for the first 11 months. So we are not yet even a toddler that can walk, but this is our strong mission, and we are looking for scale-ups, so not startups, but scale-ups that are in the phase of already proven technology, in EU terms, technology readiness level 9 and above, but which need to be boosting, which can be now boosted for scaling, both climate tech as a whole, but also digital climate tech. If I had a developer team who would have some spare time, I would start thinking, like that, where could I put this intelligent team working for the planet, from the both economical and ecological perspective. So maybe it's good to understand still, where are the possibilities, and you, dear community, then which are the open data sources, which are the public data sources, and have the technical skills to combine then capabilities from data and information capabilities from private sector actors. So we are looking for anything between underground to space. So looking for how to replace rare earth metals with biomaterials, up to nanosatellites, observing our planet, transmitting data to our learning algorithms and edge computing that will then nudge the behavior us as citizens, consumers, and B2B decision makers towards resource-friendly, resource-wise living. And this is indeed the important message that I have. You see there obvious implications, be it climate and environmental analytics. But the fact is that there is no climate change solution to climate change without digitalization and open interfaces. So, for example, digital solutions can bring alternatives to decision makers and push our consumers to a more sustainable direction. Sometimes also, encouraging us skipping shopping, for example. And also, with what we are looking in those cases, what we would be interested in co-financing are such where we can measure CO2 emissions, so emission reduction potential, and quantifying it with CO2 emission equivalent tons would be one of the key indicators for cases that we are looking forward to. Also, we should be thinking how we could help the measuring of biodiversity. This is something that the financiers also are looking and developing, because if you can't measure those things, so then you can't really also show progress. And these are kind of I don't have the answers, but I'm showing you, dear community, some kind of things that for you to consider where your technological capabilities can be and which should be and will be of use. We should also look at the world from both climate mitigation but also climate adaptation perspective. So let's not forget that one. So what's the use of artificial intelligence, even though that's a bit of a commercial term, blockchain, quantum computing, that's not the end of itself, but a solution to hopefully to put the socially and ecological significant changes to place. However, the digitalization as such is not only could get on the block. We need to remember that the carbon footprint of our devices or our internet ecosystems, the gadgets, going from the rare earth metals up to our data trash, to our clouds and data centers, which demands a huge amount of electricity. That is in total, it has been in total 3.7% of global greenhouse gas emissions 2 years ago, 2019. And these emissions are projected to be doubled by 2025. So digitalization is actually swimming upstream, as the other human activities have entered or are about to decline, and the burden of digitalization of the planet will increase. So this is, I'm sure you've already paid a lot of attention, but I was so naive still 4 years ago that I was claiming that, hey, let's organize things digitally. That would be a climate solution. And I must say now that I wouldn't agree with myself 4 years ago anymore. So we need to also understand that according to, for example, the SHIFT project, a French think tank focusing on carbon leakage, energy consumption in digital technologies has risen by 37% since 2010, and despite the fact that resource scarcity has developed enormously. And now, of course, we can also look at the things that kind of compete with the rare earth metal area because of, as a large conglomerate company, ABB, said that anything that can be electrified will be electrified. So we are all competing against the same raw materials. So this is kind of worth thinking about, that how could we can then, what color of electricity my appliances use. So the color of electricity is quite important. And then what about the software? Program is done in the cloud. So of course that is also a kind of a challenge for us fighting against the heating of the planet. On the other hand, microprocessors have becoming more efficient, which reduces energy consumption, and that is also a very important trend in the digital industry of its own. So this is basically my thoughts about how to link then the overall topic, the physical and digital. So we should be also paying attention with that one as a lot. An example which I also have given is in the domain of fashion, and that's also something like somewhat comparable, because digital consumption and clothing or fashion consumption are something that we as citizens can be involved a lot. So my conclusion, coming to back, is that the climate crisis is it needs just more than technology. It needs more than only engineers and business people. We need diversity and for these solutions to be solved. And there I feel that the kind of a fair data economy and these themes that you are working with play a crucial role indeed. And also going to the kind of a deep-rooted end is that we are all in this together, and we should be looking the development of utilizing our internet economy and digital capabilities to solve the climate change. We should look at it together. Some phenomena unite both communities. For example, believing technology, as the climate change is made by human. We humans should be fixing that. We know the digital society plays a great role. We are science-based, having a science-based control over it. and indeed everything has a close relation to nature. So these things, I think, bring the digital and physical kind of solutions together when combating climate change. So I would like to close my thoughts now and talk with you more and hear your comments. And there is not a kind of a smart presentation, a comment coming out of me without quoting Le Petit Prince and Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, a great author and philosopher from last century, who said that as for the future, your task is not to foresee it, but to enable it. And I think this is now the business that this community and we are all in. And of course, not forgetting the European terrible war, which has put the everyone's thoughts, I believe, a bit of aside and on a more important matters. I sincerely hope still that the agenda of combating climate change remains high in agenda, but the prioritization of everybody's time and thoughts, that has been a very hard sell for the last 3 weeks. So thank you for letting me share my thoughts. I hope it made somewhat a coherent story and was inspiring enough for us to solve together the challenges with the climate change with the help of the capabilities of API community. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Pia, so much. And I think that the audience is a bit silent right now with like thinking big things and big thoughts. And I think that we were discussing before and actually even last year about this, like, what are the great ideas? Are there any great ideas around APIs and digital platforms for this climate change and sustainable and resource-wise future? And what do you think? What are your biggest issues on the table here? Is it the lack of ideas or too many ideas to fund, or like what's going on?
Well, thank you for asking. Now our visibility is only 11 months and merely from size of a country of Finland, even though my background and everybody, we are all connected and networked. I'm seeing good initiatives on the startup level, especially when, for example, combining the supply changes, getting actors, companies, and transportation, global transportation, logistic companies to openly report their CO2 emission calculations in order us to then to see the whole picture, because this is kind of putting the day. We should encourage all organizations to share even more courageously their data. And this climate change is something that could unite revivals even, so that because we are all in this ESG together, and at least the financial climate in European Union is emphasizing now very much the kind of climate agenda. We have in EU this EU framework for sustainable financing, which is followed by large companies like my alma mater, Nordea, the 5th largest commercial bank in Europe, to VCs, etc. And then when we measure the CO2 emissions, so there we did digitalization, and then we need to count it from what are the direct and indirect kind of impacts of the digital solution. I'm talking about digital climate tech. But if you look at all the solutions that has to do with built environment and constructions, 33% of emissions globally comes from that. I can give you an example of from our portfolio, and it's very, very small portfolio, but our first digital case is about is about developing algorithms and learning algorithms, machine learning, or the commercial they talk about AI, developing AI for building recipes to make the production of concrete or a cement more environmentally friendly by using the digital app for calculating the recipe for making concrete or making cement out of side streams of other industries or even biomaterials. Concrete building with concrete creates only 7% of all greenhouse emissions in the planet alone. But then all these kind of analytics that we need, because as I wrote in one of the local newspapers, the CO emission reduction and the CO2 equivalent ton is a new currency. So we need to be measuring not only the balance sheet of the company and success and their reports, but we need to start counting on what is the burden for our planet. And this is an example where it's a total digital solution, and it can be then used as a recipe, as an app for all those. There is a lot of construction ongoing all over the world, not to only mention China. So there are a lot of things emerging, and there we need the digital solution tremendously, because that is then, for example, is a mobility as a service phenomena that brings a different travel chains to our own devices, which can, for example, nudge us to more resource-wise behavior, and we consumers, we don't even know. So I mean, you put the digital aspect, look at the open data, public data, and these data sharing initiatives together, and start looking at how can we make it visible to our decision makers and us consumers or citizens. And when we make it transparent, I believe that the humans also behave sometimes rationally, sometimes irrationally. And if you can do it in a very fashionable way, we do it, without even realizing.
I think that's a great conclusion. But I think one of the things I want everybody to take out of this talk is that, and one thing that Sharia was kind of asking there, what would you use these developer teams for? And I think we've seen in our customer cases, for example, that when you are doing something normal, not even thinking first about the environment and then thinking out of the box and injecting the kind of environmental thinking to it, and a little bit opposite thinking, like we did in a session yesterday. And
yes, I saw the results. Excellent results.
And you kind of use that thinking into, okay, we have these normal APIs or these normal digital sources, but and these physical things like the concrete, for example. And how do we think about this in a different way? How do we inject the carbon emission thinking, or how do we, for example, track the materials used, or how do we actually make, like the recipe of the concrete, how do we make it different if we have all these tools that we can use, from machine learning to all kinds of data using solutions, and even computer visions and robotics. So I think we just all need to think a little bit differently, and then we'll come up with a lot of great ideas.
Yes, but there is space for ideas. That's my thermometer for the time being. At least for that, we would like to see more initiatives from the digital climate, for sure. I mean, just very bluntly, the only challenge is that you should have with your idea a link to Finland, because we are backed by the government of Finland, so it should be a daughter company or kind of a joint venture or something like that. So we just can't jump to funding for any so that there should be some kind of a connection. The headquarters doesn't need to be in Helsinki or in Finland. But
Yeah.
this is kind of my last commercial comment. So there is space for innovation. Discounting solutions, it's not it's not kind of I haven't seen a strong initiatives coming yet from Google's or Apple's or likes.
So
Yet
there is a room for
there is
global
room.
innovation.
And my idealistic thinking, those who know me, and Mariko knows that I would love to see, for example, a cooperative where people and organizations bring data on equal terms, and and use data as currency, for example, or the
Yeah.
API economy, so that it would be a cooperative rather than then a top technology firm can then do it. And then you can cross the verticals. It could be like the food chain from field to fork, or it could be something like robot, the satellite data, analyze satellite, analyzing something with the intelligent vision, or it could the space, but take the climate to the focus. And I believe that you can also recruit good programmers and white hackers to the topic. We've seen the change that people want to. I'm not now talking against why not developing great games, but we've seen this
But something
transition.
serious.
Yes, we've seen this
Okay.
transition. And please,
Okay.
you saw my contact information. So I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm sales in my company. We are 3 people wanting to dialogue and
Yeah.
brainstorm. And we are not arrogant VC who seldom replies to emails. We will reply to everybody
reply.
and try to
Okay.
link with the right people.
That's a
So
promise.
thank you very much for providing, Marika, also
Thank
a
you,
space
Pia,
for
for
my
coming.
mission.
Yeah.